Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Studio Nights. Today we're here with Michael Compton.
Yes.
How are you?
I am well. Thanks for asking. How are y'all?
Great. We're good. Excited.
Very excited.
Awesome.
So you are me and Vlad's former professor
Yep.
from UCF, our undergrad.
Yes.
You didn't have him for lower, right?
No.
No.
Yeah, not lower.
Valerie didn't get the great experience.
No, I never did. I got Tommy.
You had by association, right? 'Cause
Yes.
You were in studio when we were in studio.
Yeah.
You heard all the dumb things that being said by me.
Presentations.
Let's clarify, by me. So, yes. Yes, you heard a lot of that.
Yes, I did.
So we want to hear a lot about you. And
Yeah.
we want to get to know you.
Yeah.
So first, we want to hear about where you grew up and what your journey, because we know you didn't grow up here.
Did not.
So we want to hear about your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So way back machine. Born in New Jersey.
Okay.
And you probably don't hear an accent, but there's still a little bit of an accent.
Jersey
So I get that, right? Or y'all is not normal for me.
Yeah.
I say that too.
Yeah.
So moved when I was probably in the fuzzy math, 9 months old, roughly, from Jersey. And there's a lot of reasons why we moved. I won't get into any of those, but we moved to Daytona Beach and largely grew up there, right? My oldest brother and I moved with my mom and my dad. I need to clarify for future when we talk about that, my biological father, because that changed around 2.
Okay.
And then my stepfather showed up probably around 4,
Okay.
but I call him dad. So
Got it.
just so we're clear, when I say dad, I'm mostly talking about my stepfather.
Okay.
But anyway, so we moved down when I was about 9 months old, grew up in Daytona. And yeah, I think there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
But so I was baptized Catholic, and the church was part of our life for that part, those 2 years. And then when my parents got divorced, we, as a family, stopped going to church. And the reason I'm introducing that, and we didn't really talk about that before, is because faith is a big part of my life now.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me anyway, how it's always been a part of my life, but I didn't really recognize that. But so I was baptized Catholic, went to the Catholic Church, went with my father, biological father, after they separated on visitation. He had us 1 day a week. Visitation sounds so funny. He had us 1 day a week where we could see him and spend time with him. And so that was the day that, we had together. So we would go to church.
Yeah.
Not always.
Yeah.
Then kind of fell out of church as not just a family, but, he and I and my oldest brother is 6 years older than me. So there was a time where he started doing non-family things. And it was just my dad and I. And then we started going back to church, which was cool. But that was the, that whole part of my life is really just that, like church and movies. The movie thing is why I am the way I am now. And all the references I used with all of you all in class were because I'm a movie person, because of him. Movies are a big part of my life. The church was, at least in the early part, a part of my life. And then the divorce happened, and that changes. And I don't know if any of you have been through that, but that changes literally everything.
Yeah.
And so I am the youngest of 3 boys, but you'll have noticed if you paid attention, there was only 1 in the original. And I'll explain where the other one comes in. But we went from having a normal family life to having something very different.
Yeah.
And my mom did her very best to raise the 2 of us. She had a degree, but was what we would call now an administrative assistant. They didn't call them then. It was just secretary then.
Yeah.
But she worked for the city of Daytona, which is where she met my stepfather. And so we didn't have a lot. And but that didn't change anything about the quality of life. And that's one of the things my mom will ask me often is I wish I could have done more for you. I'm like, I wouldn't change a single thing.
Yeah.
I would probably break less bones and do less dumb things, but I wouldn't change a thing, right? And so childhood was often about, and you'll hear this a lot, the Gen Xers, right? The latchkey kids go out. No one knows where you are until the sun comes down, and then you magically find your way home.
Yeah.
No cell phones, no pagers, none of that. And it was everything. Every movie you've ever seen about that generation is exactly my life, except for the parts where they went to and did expensive things. We made do with what we had. I often tell a story to my daughter about how we grew up, and you all are going to repulse when I tell you this, but. We didn't have access to pools and things. There wasn't somewhere you could go unless someone was going to take you to the beach, whatever. So the neighborhood kids, what we would do is we'd fill up our trash cans with water and we would go swimming in our trash cans.
Oh my gosh.
That's, and the same reaction you just had is the reaction my daughter has. She's like, that's so gross. But we did all kinds of things, and I know she's heard my daughter's heard a lot of these stories about the stupid things I would do. We built a tree fort and we would have neighborhood wars. We'd fight the other kids in the neighborhood with pine cones and stuff like that. And then my oldest brother built this tree fort and I can see his face right now. He wished he was here to defend himself, but he is not a good architect, nor is he a good builder. And he built this tree fort. It's about 30 feet in the air. And I was leaning over to get a pail of things that we would throw to the other kids. And then it gave way and I fell. That's just one of, like that kind of thing happened once a month. I was a frequent flyer to the doctor, which is where I should talk about that too. But so those kinds of things happened to me a lot as a kid. When I was 4, almost 5, a rare treat was to go somewhere and do something that wasn't with my grandparents because they were the things that gave us some sort of semblance of normalcy. They were the people, I should say. We, as a treat for my brother's birthday, we went to this place called Circus World, and it doesn't exist now, but it's near Legoland or near where Legoland is now. And it was, what it sounds like, it was a a year-round circus. And so all the things you would see at the circus were there. And it was, I had a painted face and it was the whole thing. I started not to feel good. And, I didn't feel good a lot. I had asthma as a kid, so I was always kind of sick with something. But in this case, I didn't feel really good. And I started running a fever. My belly was distended. And my mom started to freak out a little bit and took me to the hospital. And they discovered that my appendix had ruptured.
Wow.
And I'm 5.
Oh, my goodness.
And yeah, no, definitely 5. And back then, the opportunity for, the outcomes weren't great for people who had ruptured appendixes, especially in kids. So the way it's been told to me is I did die. I clinically died. They brought me back to life on the operating table while they were cleaning me out.
Oh my God.
And I won't get into the details, but you have to be a healthcare architect to want to hear the details. So I can tell you, but you probably don't want to hear it. So anyway, I became a permanent resident in that hospital for a while because I had to recover from the appendix, the ruptured appendix. It's an appendectomy, but after it ruptures, it's called something else, and I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, so I'm in the hospital, and while I'm there, I contracted. I had all kinds of infections because of the appendix rupturing. I contracted pneumonia.
Oof.
And I already had asthma, so it was just bing, 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 like every hit you could get hit with.
Oh.
So I was in the hospital about 6 weeks, and I won't mention the name of the hospital with respect to my New Year's resolution of not being more positive. But there was a hospital in Daytona Beach that I stayed in as a 5-year-old kid. And it was not, to their defense, it was not designed for children. right? Hospitals weren't designed for children back then. They were, the wards were for patients generic. And my mom was a working mom, a single mom. And so I had no family, no visitors, no nothing for the most of the day. Not nowhere near the distractions they have today. And so fast forward, I guess 20 years or so, when I realized the architecture was going to be my path, there really was no other choice but healthcare architecture. Because if I could affect, and that's what we all want to do as architects, right? We want to positively affect the people who use our space. If I could positively affect somebody, it should be kids like me who were stuck in the hospital for weeks on end.
Yeah.
So pediatrics is the thing that I was most passionate about. When I knew architecture was my pathway, pediatrics is where I wanted to go. Now that you all will discover has a way of changing for you.
Yeah.
Sometimes not in the way you want, but sometimes in the way that you are needed the most. Does that make sense?
Sure.
But coming full circle back to not just healthcare architecture, but the notion of the idea that the kind of architect I wanted to be, unlike all of your other podcast people, which I listen to all of them, they're wonderful.
Yay.
All of them seem to know from birth that they wanted to be an architect. And I'd love to say that when I was in my mom's womb, I wanted to design and draw, but that's not the truth.
Yeah.
I did search for my purpose. I remember doing that early as a kid, thinking, okay, well, my oldest brother is 6 years older than me. And he was always interested in military service and he wanted to be in the Navy. He was always interested. We grew up in Daytona, so we grew up on the water, and the water's just, and not that I believe in this, but I'm a Cancer sign, so I'm a water sign. So water makes sense for me, and it made sense for us. So he knew what he wanted to do, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but he was also a heavy influence on me, mostly because my biological father wasn't really around. My stepfather wasn't really in the picture just yet. So I looked and leaned heavily on him, which is why I'm a nerd in so many other ways. Because, I was kind of the one outside breaking bones and playing sports and doing dumb things. He was the intellectual, but also the sci-fi guy, right? The Star Trek, and it's always Star Trek. I like all things sci-fi, but he was Star Trek. But he leaned into music, and this is where I want to come back to a larger part of the New Jersey story. I didn't share the part about my grandfather being fresh off the boat from Italy. And the reason why that's important, how it ties into music, is he got off the boat, and back then, early 1900s, just to date it, they told you Italians were not a funny full circle moment, not a welcome part of society. A lot of people did not like Italian people, didn't want them coming to America, didn't want them involved. And they told him when he got off the boat that the quickest way to citizenship was through service. So he fled Europe, came to the U.S., and was sent right back to Europe in the army.
Wow.
But when he came back, he was now a citizen. When he came back, he did odds and ends jobs, but ultimately he ended up opening and owning a music store in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And every one of my uncles and aunts played music of some kind. And my dad, my biological father, played guitar and trumpet. And so my oldest brother, played trumpet. And so the inclination was, I don't care what you're really into, but you're going to play music.
Yeah.
But I was also the rebel, go figure.
The rebel.
And I did not want to play trumpet or guitar. I played saxophone.
That one's hard.
I don't know. It seems easy to me.
Okay.
But, I played saxophone, and that's the thing I really dove into. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be a musician. This is what I'm going to do. And I am not the best academic. I am not the best at any one thing because I lose focus really, really quickly. So I didn't practice a lot. And what I like to tell people, and I don't know if it's entirely true, but I'm pretty good at a lot of things, but not great at anything. because I lose that focus and I don't practice.
Yeah.
With music was different. With music, I did practice quite a bit. I would not say even at that time, I'm not most technically proficient, but I had the most soul, and that there's a tie in here. Fast forward a little bit, my pathway through high school and college was to play music. And so I was at a scholarship to community college, which is Daytona State, and they paid for all my schooling, my lower division, gen eds. And then I got offered a scholarship to play music at Stetson. But at that time, Stetson didn't offer marine biology, and that was where my head was.
Yeah.
And so I declined that. The scholarship was for jazz music. And I can tell you probably definitively, I was more attracted to jazz than any other music of form because it allowed me to play outside the lines. Specifically, I could do things in jazz, even if it was wrong as far as the sheet music goes, and it still sounded right. Right. So I knew that I loved coloring outside the lines or playing outside the lines, but I knew also at that time that music wasn't going to be where I did for a living. And I also knew at that time that marine biology is not where I was going to go. Because I had to have an internship, and there was a waiting list, and most marine biologists have PhDs and make tons of money. Most of them.
I know that.
And I'm not an academic, as I already said, right? So I went in this moment of what am I going to do in my life? And the piece I haven't talked about yet a whole lot is the other passion that I had in addition to music was surfing. This is where brother number 2 shows up. So brother number 2 is a way longer story. And I would suggest to you that you offer Max, who's my middle brother, a spot, because his story is really good. Sad, but good. Anyway, long story short, we came to know Max, who's from Argentina. And my mom adopted or became his legal guardian so he could finish school. And Max brought a whole new world of thinking. We had been to the beach and done the beach thing, but that wasn't part of really our life or our culture. Max was a surfer. That was his life and culture.
He introduced it to you.
So he introduced surfing to me when I was, I think, either 10 or 11. I don't remember the exact age. But we started surfing all the time.
Wow.
And that's when I realized, I consider myself an athlete. I played soccer, played football, I play all these things. But surfing is amazing. I mean, to this day, it's amazing.
Oh, wow.
You're in the world that God created, and you are in tune with the literal, and this sounds cheesy, but the vibe of the earth, right? The motion of the earth, you are part of that.
Wow.
It is and I tell anyone who listens, it's the closest you will feel to God probably ever. And surfing is amazing. Well, you can't make money at surfing really unless you compete.
And they are famous.
Unless you're famous. Yeah. And so part of that fame is competition. I competed with high school, I competed in college, but I was never good enough. Well, let me say it differently. I was never competitive enough to make enough money to make that a career. And your listeners may or may not know who this is, but I was around the same time, just a little bit behind Kelly Slater. And for those who don't know, Kelly Slater is the Michael Jordan of surfing.
Oh, wow.
And he grew up in Cocoa. I would go to Cocoa to compete.
Oh, wow.
And he's just, he's everything, and I was nothing. So surfing was a passion, but wasn't a career.
Yeah.
Right. And so that started the pathway, or not pathway, but the lack of pathway. Like, what am I going to do in life? Right. Now, the other parts that, and all these things are kind of coming together at the same time. But not necessarily lining up at the right way. My stepfather, who is a deputy chief building official for Daytona, was also a general contractor. And at this point in our life, this is right towards the beginning, middle of high school. We were building the house that we were going to live in officially as a family. We'd already lived in his house, and I helped work on that house briefly, but we were going to build our house, our familial home, which is where my mom lives today, by the way.
Oh.
And so I helped him draw it, and then we helped build it. Max, my brother, and I, Tony, I haven't named him, my oldest brother, Tony, and Max and I helped build it along with my mom and my dad. And I was like, maybe this is what I'm going to do. Right.
Yeah.
And he said, don't do that. I don't. Dad? Yeah. He said, I don't want that life for you. He said, you should go to school. You should be an architect. You should go do that. I was like, I don't know anything about architecture. I know about surfing. I know about music. I know enough about marine biology to know that I'm not going to be good at that. But I know how to swing a hammer pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I think that's what I should do. And he said, no. You need to be the guy drawing, not the guy swinging the hammer, or, killing his body for his career. Okay. And another part of that is he rooted for the Gators, and I'm from Jersey. We don't have teams like that. So we rooted for the Gators, and Gators became our, Florida became our school. So when I applied to school, there was really I only applied to one place. Right. So I had finished my AA, and this is where I was in this crisis mode of what am I going to do with life? I was a marine biology major, but then needed to pivot.
Yeah.
And so I pivoted to architecture. So I applied to Florida. I got accepted, and I ended up starting in, 1995, 6. When was it? 6. I don't know. Sometime in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I started architecture at Florida. And so I started architecture in Florida, and my very first semester, I won't name names, I'm trying to stay faithful to my New Year's resolution. I had a pretty famous, at least in his mind, design professor. Sorry, was that catty? I didn't mean to be catty.
That was great.
So he was famous in his mind, and I don't know where classes you guys took, but all of my classes are early. This is a holder from this. We had choice. You could choose a morning studio, an afternoon studio, any day of the week, really. But being a surfer, I was used to getting up early, and so earlys were my thing.
Yeah.
So I chose the 7:30 morning, 7:30 start.
Wow.
That was our studio start.
7:30.
7:30 Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Wow.
It was only 6 credits or 5 credits, but it was still 3 days a week.
Yeah.
For 3 hours?
For 3 hours each, yeah. So it was more like 9.
Oh my gosh.
But so we showed up, and we're the only ones in the class for at least 40 minutes. Like it's probably like 8:15 or something like that.
First day of class.
First day of class. The GTA shows up, and not the professor. He's like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" It's like, "Good. Are you our professor?" And we're freshmen.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not a freshman, I'm like, I think I'm the oldest one in the class at that point. He says, "No, I'm not the professor. He'll be here along in a minute." And like another 15 minutes later, the professor shows up. It's a full hour late on day one.
Oh my God.
Now, I don't think I've said this actually, but we come from not a lot of money. Single mom up until I get to Gainesville. We weren't living together. So she's paying for everything, which means I'm paying for everything.
Yeah.
I started working when I think I was 14. And then haven't stopped since 14.
Wow.
But I paid my own way through school. I had help here and there, but for the most part, I paid my own way. And so the professor shows up day one, and an hour later,
wow,
and he hands everybody a piece of paper.
A blank piece of paper?
No, it was definitely not blank.
Oh man, oh my God.
He hands everybody a piece of paper. He goes, "You have 1 hour. Go buy all this stuff and come back." So this is way before Amazon. There's Walmart was kind of a new thing. So we had Walmart, but we're on campus. We had to go to the campus bookstore, buy a drawing table, T-squares, the stupid pen set that cost hundreds of dollars. pencils, vellum, trace, all the stuff.
Oh my goodness.
We did the math and it was over $500 worth of stuff.
And back then, imagine now.
Per person.
Per person. Yeah. Everyone had to have their own stuff.
Crazy.
Oh my.
So it was crazy amount of stuff. Now I'm paying my own way through school,
Yeah.
which means I'm waiting and financially took care of the classes, but I paying rent and food and all that stuff. This is not, I don't have financial aid for this.
Yeah.
So I went with my buddy, and we looked at the stuff and I think I had $3 in my checking account. So I'm like, well, there's no way I'm buying any of this stuff. But I'm taking a mental note. I know what I need to buy, you know, how much it's going to be. And so I get back to the class and everybody's, you know, sort of glowing over the money they just spent and all the stuff they have. And I'm that kid with nothing. And so I go to the professor and I said, sir, I'm very sorry. I don't have the money to buy this right now. I get paid Friday. I can get some of it. I can't get all of it, but I can get enough to get me started. And he goes, no, you fail. I go, what do you mean? I said, I understand I failed the assignment. He goes, no. You failed the class. You need to leave.
What?
That was day one of architecture.
Oh my God.
So I leave because he wanted me to leave. I left. And what you understand about me, if you've met me or know me long enough, I'm very hard at hiding my emotions. And I was way worse back then. I'm much more controlled now. But I was visibly distraught. I was angry, all the things.
Yeah.
And also to the fact it wasn't really my idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
but now I committed, you know, that's the other thing I'll talk to you about at length is once you've committed to something, you have to see it through. Don't do something halfway. And that's a surfing lesson that I'll come back to. But so I've committed and I'm going to make this thing work. But I'm bitter Bob and I'm sitting in the hallway. Actually, I think I'm just walking in the hallway and this is 8:30 in the morning, right? Everyone's in class. There's no one doing anything but in class in the architecture building anyway. Technically it was Fine Arts C. And if you know the campus, you know what I'm talking about. The architecture building is right next to 3 buildings in a U shape. Fine Arts C is the one on the right. That's where the architecture students were. So anyway, I'm in Fine Arts C and then I'm walking out and this angelic man, and I don't know how to explain it any other way than that, is walking down the hallway and he sees me and goes, what's going on? Like in this pure empathetic emotion that you could convey of sympathy or empathy. What's going on? And I said, this guy, you know, I don't have money and he kicked me out. And he said, I'm going to fail. And he said, if I can get you into another class and you agree to switch majors, would you do that?
Nerd.
And in my mind, I'm thinking, but it keeps me in school, which means I can go to the football games.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, I'll do that.
Process.
Yeah, that was my thought process.
Tell you what major?
No, he did. Well, eventually he did.
Okay.
Because in that time, and I think it's still true, at that time in Gainesville, they offered urban regional planning, they offered landscape architecture, they offered architecture, and they offered interior design.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew it wasn't architecture, at least I suspected it wasn't architecture.
Right.
So I said, that sounds good to me. What am I doing? And he said, interior design. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but sign me up. Like I legitimately did not know what it was. And he says, okay, Wednesday, you're going to go to this classroom. You're going to be with this professor and just keep doing the things you're doing. Wow. Now, this is pretty different than the way the 222 program works. In Florida, the landscape architects, the interior designers, the planners, and the architects all share the same studios. You grow up together, right? D1 through 4, or D1 through 3. 4th is your discipline. Okay. But D1 through 3 are all the same. Mm-hmm. And so I was still doing the same work everybody else was doing, but in the background, I'm an interior design major. Yeah. And I don't still really understand what that means. I don't really understand what that is until I get to D4. And then I was like, oh, okay. And despite what anyone will ever tell you about what interior design is, it's open to interpretation. Yeah. There's not one fixed answer. It's open. My definition of interior design is architecture, but at the human scale.
Oh,
That's the way I think about it,
okay.
right? It isn't about colors. It isn't about finishes. It isn't about space. Well, it is about space, actually, but it's about space for people and not space for objects. And I know you've heard me say this, that we design spaces in objects. We don't design objects in space, right? Objects in space are people who do that are sculptors. We are not sculptors. We design space, right? That's what we do. And so the way I think about it is probably different than the way most, but landscape architects design architecture for buildings, not buildings. They design architecture for buildings, meaning the ground. Planners design architecture for community, right? They design cities. It's only scale. Scale is the only difference. Everything else is exactly the same. The scale is the delta. That's the lesson I learned in interior design at Florida. I kept that degree. There were options at the end of D3, like vultures. Architecture went around like trying to convince people to switch. And they did. They convinced several folks, including my very best friend, Mike Bayo, who will listen to this and he will cry or laugh or both, one of those things. But he was a landscape architect and he was convinced to do architecture. And I think you'll have to ask him. He would be another one great for your podcast. So he was convinced for all about a month, and then he switched back. And I don't mind telling you, he's probably the most talented design mind person I've ever met by far. And now that's a public, and he'll hear that, and his head's going to get so big. But that's okay. So anyway, he switched and switched back, and so I finished with my interior design degree, and I met amazingly beautiful people who were focused on the design of space for people and not objects. And we all thought of it that way. No one ever thought about, and this is the stigmatism that some interior designers have is, you're just a finished selection, or you're just a, color picker or whatever. And that may be true for others, like it's a spectrum, right? But the way I was taught to think about it is just a scale issue. That's all it is. Design is design. So I finished, and in that process, met lifelong friends. But I know I shared this comment with you about, again, I kind of trying to find my way. Healthcare wasn't, we didn't really talk about markets. And I don't know if it was the same for you at UC, although I brought healthcare to you all at UCF, but
you did.
Architecture is kind of, or at least academic architecture is kind of market indifferent, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't really know where I wanted to go. I was kind of looking for a purpose, searching for whatever. And so this is where the notion of what kind of designer do I want to be? Do I want to be a technical person?
Yeah.
Do I want to be a design, call them a diva? Do you want, right? Or do I want to be the production person, the person who gets into the widget of the thing? Or do I want to be a manager? What kind of person, designer am I going to be? And again, I don't color well in the lines. So the diva makes absolute sense for me. And that's sort of how I evolved. But something else I know I've told you all is you can be the best designer in the world, but if you can't communicate that design, then you're not going very far.
Yeah.
And I was looking for ways to communicate that didn't really exist. So for example, digital back then was brand new. Nobody was doing it. Everything was hand rendered watercolors and whatever. I started playing with digital, and I quickly became the 3D guy.
Oh, wow.
Which is also where I started when my first teaching opportunity. I'm now a senior in the interior design program, and I was asked by one of my professors, Janine King, amazing lady, to be a TA for her digital class. And that was my first real taste of teaching. I was like, ooh, I like this. Like, I think I could do this, right? So I finished school and really put the teaching thing, that was just a fun aside. It wasn't my goal. My goal was to be on a cover of a magazine. Right? That was 100% my goal.
Wow.
And I will tell you, I've done that. And since I've done that, it's like, no, okay, now what, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't really fulfilling. It didn't have the worth that I thought it would have.
Yeah.
But then when I was put on a healthcare project, everything came back into focus. I came to have purpose and drive. And the 5-year-old me was like, yeah, dummy, I've been talking to you for 20 years. This is what you should be doing. And so that was really it. So it happened in DC. I lived in DC. I lived in Florida most of my life, and I was convinced that I wanted to leave Florida. And it's a symptom of being from Daytona, right? Daytona is, and you know this, right? Daytona is everyone comes there. It was for a long time a vacation spot. We have the bikers who come there. We have the NASCAR people who come there. We have the spring breakers. Spring break lasts like 4 months. It's insane. We get 1 week, but Daytona lasts 4 months. It's dumb. And then in the summer, it's all tourists all the time. It's a tourist town. And I wanted something different. And so and part of why I wanted something different is in the UF program, I had the opportunity to attend VIA, which I know Bender talked about, Tommy talked about, and it fundamentally changed the way I think about architecture. Now I'm Italian, so that was fun. To be around my people, if you will, and have them laugh at me because my pronunciation is terrible and my accent is bad. But more importantly, to understand and reaffirm that we don't design objects in space, we design spaces and objects. That became abundantly clear in Italy. And I went from being the digital guy to being a phenomenology guy, right? Wow. So I remember I talked to you all about the sensory experience and how it influences architecture, right? Sights and sounds and textures. That's phenomenology, right? That transition is thanks to Italy. I would have always been the digital guy if it weren't for that. Now I'm still the digital guy. I still have that skill set, but when I got to Italy, I thought of architecture differently. And again, notice I'm saying architecture, not interior design, right? Because it's all architecture. It's just scale. So I'm working in DC, and my first job, this is the story I wanted to get into about networking and the importance of the network.
Yes, right? Tell this. Yes.
Okay. So my very first job was with Ellerby Beckett. Most people listening to this podcast won't know the name, but if I said AECOM, you would know the name because that's who they are now. So it was Ellerby Beckett. On my 90th day, I come into the office and they're like, you're doing such a great job. Here's your raise. Here's your, I was too young, not experienced enough to get promoted to anything, but I did get a raise. So they said, good job, go to your desk and keep working for us. And okay. So I go to my desk, I'm working, and I go home, come back the next day, and my studio leader, was bawling her eyes out.
Oh my God.
I don't know if she remembers it the way I do, and I'm going to send this to her, and I'm curious to see if she remembers it the way I do, but she was the most amazing lady. Sarah Calandro is her name. She actually lives in Florida now. She lives in Sarasota, I think.
Oh, wow.
But so she was really, really upset, and she had who I understood to be the head of HR, and this is in a fishbowl, right? And I'm like, whoa, that can't be good. But I was like, when I got my raise, I'm going to my desk. So I go to my desk and I start working, and they start one by one calling people into the fishbowl. And I'm like, what is going on? So this is 2001. This is August of 2001. And you may remember that as the pre 9/11 recession. So a lot of people look at 9/11. I heard Lindsay say this. A lot of people look at 9/11 as the recession, but in truth, the recession started before 9/11. It was already happening. And Ellerby Beckett laid off, I think the number is 400 that day. I was in an office over, I think we had 150, and more than half the office was laid off that day. And now, mind you, my amazing, beautiful wife, who was not yet my wife then, I had convinced her to leave Florida to move with me to DC. And on my 91st day, I come home and I'm like, I don't have a job anymore. the whole reason we moved here is done.
That's oh man.
Now she does have a job, and thankfully I can say she is my sugar mama. She worked for AT&T she worked for T-Mobile at that point, and she was a sales manager and just crushing it. So I wasn't so anxious, but I was kind of anxious, right?
I think so.
And Sarah had been or was the city center director for IIDA. IIDA is the International Interior Designer Associate. I think I blundered that up, but anyway, it's the AIA version of interiors. Okay. So she was a city center director for IIDA, and she told me, she goes, I will have, if nothing else, people for you to talk to by the end of the week. And true to her word, I had 3 to 4 emails on Tuesday. I had 5 interviews on Wednesday. Thursday, I had 3 offers. Friday, I accepted 1.
Wow.
So within a week, within that week, not only did I lose my job, but I got a new one, and I got more money.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
And which was amazing. So I turned lemon into lemonade.
Yeah,
How that goes?
lemonade.
Yeah. So I actually got more money. I got paid more to get laid off, which is hilarious. And I had one of my absolute favorite experiences. The firm was HDR, and if you don't know them, they're an AE firm. The AE is a little bit bigger than the E, but that's less important. The project is super important. Is I was assigned to the Pentagon renovation, and so I can honestly say there's several pieces of that project that exist because of me.
Wow.
And again, you're going to say, wait a minute, you're an interior designer. I'm a designer, right?
Yeah.
A designer of space, not interior, not architect, not landscape, a designer.
Mm-hmm.
And that, again, reaffirmed that this belief that I have that the discipline is just a matter of scale.
Yeah.
Right? So I had really great experiences at the Pentagon. There's a lot of that I can't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot I can't talk about. We can jump into that if you wish. But the things I would prefer to stay away from are 9/11. That was traumatic, especially for people in New York and DC. It was not a great time. But what was a good time is, and this is, Alex and I were talking about this today, actually, most of my career, I've been on the design side. I wasn't on the production side, which just fed my diva-ness, right?
Yes.
Like it just fed wrong or right. It just did. My studio leader at that time was a guy named Jeff Davenport at HDR, said, I don't know that you should be interior design. I think you should be designing. And so he would often give me responsibilities that are largely architectural. And the things I designed are built as an architect, right? Yeah. He's also the one who convinced me that I should go back to graduate school for architecture. And I applied to Princeton. I was accepted on a condition that I take the GRE. I hadn't taken the GRE, but they accepted my portfolio. So they accepted me. And then I came home so excited to say, I'm moving to New Jersey. We are moving to New Jersey. And my wife said, you are moving to New Jersey. I am moving home, right? So long story short, I did not go to Princeton.
Yeah.
But before all of that fun happened, Jeff left. And I don't know if you've ever felt like this, you will empathize. Jeff left HDR to go to RTKL. He was my mentor in so many ways I can't communicate. And it felt like my world had crashed. I'm still employed. I'm still doing really good work. And I didn't mention, I probably should have, that in addition to the Pentagon, I'm working on, 8 different healthcare projects. And so I'm clearly a healthcare guy. The Pentagon was a one-off. I was just helping. But the healthcare is where I was. And Jeff called out of the blue and said, hey, I'm going to take you and about 5 other people to this firm with me if you want to go.
Oh, wow.
And me being what was the difference? Confidence and cocky. Which one am I? I'm confident. Yeah, I'm the confidence. I'm not cocky. But I think at that moment I was a little cocky. I was like, well, it's worth it. So that's just something like that, knowing full well he could offer me less, I probably would have taken it. But I got another raise. And again, no real promotion, just more money.
Yeah.
But I moved over to RTKL with him, and I was doing nothing but architecture. And when my wife decided we're moving back to Florida, and I agreed because I want to stay married. I love her very much. I want to stay married. We moved back. I'm like, well, now what am I going to do?
Yeah.
No one's going to let me practice architecture as an interior design major, probably. And I don't really want to go to Florida for grad school again, like I did undergrad there. I want to do something different. At that time, I didn't really know what schools did architecture other than Florida.
Yeah.
I knew about FAMU, but I'm a Gator. There's no way I could be in Tallahassee, the same place. I knew Miami has a school, but my wife has money. I have no money. I can't go to Miami. It's super expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't really have any choice. I have to go back to Florida, which is okay with my wife because she loved Gatesville. But all right. So we went back to Gainesville, and I did grad school at Florida. Technically, I'm a core student. I was a core student because my undergrad was interiors, not architecture.
That's true.
But because I had practiced architecture, and because I had done my undergrad at Florida, and remember the first year and a half were all the same classes, I am a core student, but I'm less of a core student than other core students, right?
Yeah.
But you still have to take the classes?
I had to take essentially one extra semester.
Okay.
And then grad school was essentially the same.
Yeah.
So this is where I met Tommy. This is where I met Hernan, or Hernan as I call him, and Arash, and all the guys. It seems like there's a lot of superstars in our class. But this is where I met all these people. And I absolutely solidified the belief that we are not sculptors. That's not what we do. My graduate thesis was on phenomenology in healthcare. And the reason Tommy and I became really good friends, I want to point out that he did not make note of this in his podcast. We were the only dads in studio.
Wow.
And so we became instant best friends. Well, I think of him as a best friend. I don't know what he thinks, but
Oh my God.
we became best friends, and our kids grew up together, which was amazing.
Yeah.
So Savvy or Savannah and Bella or Beans, they all have nicknames. You all have nicknames, by the way. You don't yet.
Wait, what's my nickname?
I'm never going to tell you.
Mine?
No.
Tommy did it?
Tommy tells his. I never tell mine.
Oh, you have a nickname.
Everyone has a nickname. No, I'm never going to tell you.
Really?
I promise you.
That's so
Except for the ones that are really obvious, and then I slip. But so there's this kid right now. Just side note. There's this kid now in my class. I love him to death. He needs to be more secure about his skill. He's very talented. And I won't mention his name, but I will tell you his nickname because everyone knows him is Seafoam Green.
Seafoam Green.
Seafoam Green is his nickname because he chose poorly a color in D1. He chose poorly, but now there's his nickname. Right?
But you don't tell them.
99% of the time I do not.
Wow.
So he's not going to know.
He knows. Everyone knows because I'm not even sure what his real name is.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. That's not true. But I call him Seafoam to everybody. So that's his name. Anyway, so this is where I met Tommy and Hernan and Arash and all these guys. And so I did I used my graduate school as a way to both feet jump into healthcare and never look back. And so my thesis was on phenomenology, the sensory experience of healthcare. My wife we had her in grad school.
Wow.
And it really made sense because I was knee deep, neck deep, however you want to call that, in women's health. That my thesis project was a women's center for birth, so a birthing center. That was my design project. That was my thesis. Well, my thesis was on phenomenology in healthcare, but around this women's center. And following that, during that, I rekindled my passion for teaching because I became a GTA and also digital, which is there's a pattern starting to evolve. I want to rewind back to DC for half a second.
Yeah.
2000, the scenario is 2003. We were the only other project. I keep saying that, but so I guess now it's less true. The only other project that I did that was not healthcare is the Fort McNair, which is the graduate school for the military.
Okay.
And it was a design competition between, it was invite only. So my firm, RTKL, HOK, SOM, the Tower people.
Wow.
And there was another alphabet soup firm. I don't really remember who it was, but there was the four of us. It was a 2-week design competition from beginning to end. They tell you day one, you have 2 weeks, and at the end of 2 weeks, you deliver whatever it is.
Wow.
We had, I forgot how many people, but we had a lot of people dedicated to this project.
Yeah.
Yes. I did most, if not all of the design work on both the planning and the exterior design. We had folks who converted the design work into CAD drawings, because that's how we worked back then.
Yeah.
So I was using software called 3D Max.
Yeah.
That's how we modeled. And then we convert those modeling, the digital models into AutoCAD. AutoCAD became drawings. So at the end of 2 weeks, we had 6-foot banners of watercolor, renders of the model that I had done.
Wow.
I had done some digital renderings in addition to the watercolor. So we had 2 6-foot banners, and we had 40 sheets of documents, and we finished in 2 weeks. So this is when when I give you assignments, you're like, oh, I can't do that. Yes, you can.
50 models in a weekend.
Yes, you did it though.
Yeah, we did.
You did it.
Yeah.
So anyway, we presented, and we felt really, really good. Well, they presented. I wasn't there for the presentation, but they presented. We felt really good about our chances, and we did not win.
Oh.
We did come in second. They preferred our design, but which
The diva.
yeah, diva all the way. But we did not win because of I don't want to say confidence issue, but that was sort of what I read between the lines, was a confidence issue. And this will make sense in a second. The winning team was SOM, and they won, at least that's the way it was explained to me. They won because they were using new software, and they produced 400 sheets of drawings. 400 in 2 weeks.
What were they using?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
That's crazy.
No, I know.
Is it right?
It's Revit. So they were developing, at that time, they were developing Freedom Tower. And Freedom Tower was being done in this software no one had heard of, called Revit or BIM, right?
Wow.
And so when we found out who we lost to and why we lost, our studio leaders said, we are never, ever going to lose another competition because we're using the wrong software.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking. I was using 3D Max. That was my primary vehicle, a little bit of CAD.
Yeah.
We left the studio on Friday. We came back in on a Monday. 3D Max was gone. AutoCAD was gone. Revit was the only thing that was on the machine.
Even AutoCAD was gone?
Everything was gone.
Oh, wow.
And they brought in Autodesk, because Revit was not Autodesk, actually.
Okay.
It was a third party, and then Autodesk bought it and made it worse, but that's another whole thing. But so it wasn't Autodesk. I misspoke. They brought in this guy who taught us how to use Revit. And we had 5 days, 8 hours a day of nothing but Revit. And at the end of that week, everything we produced from that point on was Revit. Now we're a design only firm.
Yeah.
RTKL is design only. There's no production drawings. So it's probably a little easier for us to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because we're not making construction drawings with, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was probably a little easier for us, but it was still traumatic. So I've been using Revit since 2003.
Wow.
And then when I get back to after grad school, no one in grad school is teaching Revit.
Oh.
Or even knows Revit.
Right. Yeah.
And in Florida, John Mays, who was my thesis chair, was the digital guy. And we were buds, and I hope he feels the same way. We were buds because we were going to Lamaze classes together, but he was also my professor. Yeah. So that was weird, but awesome. He said, "Hey, I want you to be my GTA." And I was like, "Fantastic. What do you want to teach?" Form Z. Oh no.
What's Form Z?
Form Z is like 3D Max or Rhino.
Software?
Yeah, it's actually probably more akin to Rhino than anything else.
Okay.
But it's a modeling software, a NURBS-based modeling software. And he said, when you see Form Z, I said, I'm happy to teach Form Z, but you really should use this. You really should learn this stuff called Revit. I've heard about that. So I'm not entirely sure how Hernan knew it, but Hernan knew it too. So it was myself, Hernan, and a lady named Holly. The three of us were the digital GTAs. And so I got that teaching bug again.
Yeah.
And so fast forward to graduation, I finished that. And I'm like, man, is there some way I could teach? Oh, I guess I should have said I was also teaching at the same time in the interior design program because I was a licensed interior designer.
What were all the classes you were teaching?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
In interior design.
Start there.
Yeah, in interior design, I taught ET, or their version of ET.
Okay.
I taught...
which is environmental
technologies. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, environmental technology.
Yeah.
I taught studio. Studio was, shocker, the thing I was best at. So I taught that most often.
Which one?
Seniors.
Okay.
Yeah. So for them, D7, D8.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I also taught digital in interior design. And then at the same time, I was teaching in architecture, digital. And then I was also going to grad school, taking a full load. And a full load in grad school is 9 credit. I think it's 9 credit hours. Yeah. I was taking 12 every semester. This is why I was only an extra half semester, because I was taking some during the regular
That makes
year
sense.
to make up the ground. So I was taking 12 most semesters. And I was working for a kitchen and bath guy.
Wow.
And I was working at Ritz Photography, developing photos, selling cameras, and all that stuff. The reason for all of that is, as I mentioned earlier, we had our daughter.
Yeah. Oh, true.
And we could not, for the life of us, find daycare in Gainesville. My wife was working at it's still T-Mobile. Sorry, still T-Mobile, and no longer managing. She was just a sales rep, but we couldn't find daycare, and so we needed someone to watch her. We finally did find a daycare, and it was the worst, absolute worst place.
Oh my gosh!
This didn't happen to us, thank the Lord, but one instance, one of the kids that were in that daycare, they found walking down the road, unassisted, like a 3-year-old or 2-year-old or something. And another instance is I went to pick her up from daycare. And while I'm picking up Bella, this older kid walked into the infant room and just full on smacked the baby that was sitting in the chair. And there was like 20 kids in there and one provider. And when you have little kids, you're supposed to have more providers. So it was just a super bad environment. And we felt like if there's anything we can do to make this environment better for Bella, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
So we agreed, and I know many of your podcasters are going to roll in their sleep when they hear this. We agreed we're going to max out student loans. I'm going to work as much as I possibly can so she can stay home with the baby.
Wow.
And that's what we did. So for the rest of grad school, I got 2 hours of sleep a night if I was lucky. And that was that way all semester. But my daughter had a full-time mom all the time.
Wow, that's amazing.
So we made as a couple, we made the commitment that that's what we were going to do.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask my wife, she'll tell you she was a single mom for 2 years. And it's 100% true because I was either working or focused on school.
Yeah.
But thanks to her, I was able to do that. And now we're where we are because she was part of that team, right? So anyway, that's grad school. Grad school which is where I want to get to my soapbox moment about taking a gap year. Okay. Life happens in the gap. Understood? Life happens in the gap. Had I not taken a gap year and gone straight to grad school, we would not have had a child in grad school and all of that trauma. We would not have gotten accustomed to my sugar mama and that lifestyle.
Yeah.
right? We just rolled from student life to student life, coming back from having the money and being able to go skiing every weekend and do crazy, go to New York if we want, go to Vegas, whatever. We couldn't do that kind of stuff anymore because we're now at a student budget, right?
Yeah.
And we had less than a student budget. I was maxing out student loans just to pay rent. So it was, for anyone who would listen, I will tell you not to take a gap year, to go straight through. If you know you're going to go to grad school, you should go straight through.
Yes. I agree with you.
Yes. But
I do feel like your path with your wife and the sacrifice you guys made together during that super hard time define your family, your relationship, and the person you are today.
I think so.
As well as her.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying right now, everyone take a gap year. No. I'm saying like for your relationship with her and your family and your struggles, like it's what made you you and how you're here today.
I think that's 100% true, but I'm going to add to that.
But it's been hard.
It's been super hard.
It's super mega hard, yeah.
But I'm going to add to it and to say it was never my plan. It was the Lord's plan.
Yes.
Right? And that has always been true. I've never understood, there's so many things that we won't have time to talk about, but I've never understood the things he has put in my path and why he's done what he's done.
Yeah.
But it is 100% his plan. And what you're saying is 100% true. All I'm saying is,
don't do it.
Don't do it.
He's saying don't do it.
He's saying don't do it.
Pray about it.
Yeah.
And go with where he takes you. My encouragement, however, is to not take a gap year.
Yeah.
100%.
It's so funny because when I told you I was going to take a gap year,
I rolled my eyes, probably said something angrily.
he lectured me.
Yes.
And it's, no way. You're probably there about it. Well, I don't want to say lectured like he yelled at me, but he told me not to do it.
Right.
Which is fair.
Right.
And I think it's funny because I think going straight into grad school is hard because you go through 4 years of blood, sweat, and tears. And then to do it for another 2 is like, I cannot. It has my mentality, right? It is.
I want to pause you 1 second.
Yeah.
When you say blood, sweat, and tears in architecture, it's legitimate, literal blood.
Yeah. For those
Literal
not
blood. Yeah.
who architecture,
Literal.
And I can tell a story about cutting my finger open.
Oh
my God.
We all have that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's hard going straight in. So I applaud Valerie for doing that and everybody else listening. But taking a gap year is also hard because yes, life happens and it's really hard to get back into school when you're enjoying free life and just working, which is your afternoons. And Vale did. We took a gap to work. Well, Vale started, you were working professionally already, but I wasn't. And I wanted that year to just focus on learning what the professional life was like.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I got engaged during my gap year, but I got married during grad school.
Yeah.
Which I don't
Equally
like
hard.
that either.
Yeah. See? Equally hard. Equally hard.
But yes.
So when I nearing finished grad school, I thought, what if I don't practice architecture? What if I teach full time? And I was already teaching in the interior design program. So I went to Dr. Portillo, who was at that time, chair of the interior design program. I said, what would it look like if I taught here? And they said, yeah.
Oh.
And they said, yeah, we could do that. We could absolutely do that. And then towards the end of graduation, they positioned the idea of coming on as full-time faculty. I said, honestly, I spent all this time trying to get an architecture degree. I feel like I should practice architecture.
Yeah.
And so that's ultimately why it didn't happen, is I didn't stay to teach, but I still wanted to teach.
Okay.
So when I ultimately took a job, and let me say it this way, my wife chose the job. I chose DC coming out of undergrad, and with grad, and I applied everywhere. With grad, she was encouraged to choose the place we moved to.
Yeah.
And based on where she moved, that's where I would apply. Various choices were considered, but most importantly, family. Both of our parents live in Daytona. We went to the same high school. We didn't know each other in high school, which is more drama that I want to get into. But, because I graduated, 92. I graduated high school in 92. She graduated in 94. I was an early baby, so I was ahead of the rest of my class. And she was a late kid, so she was the back of her class. So it just worked out. There's 2 years, but there's only a year in age, but 2 years in schooling.
Right. Yeah.
But we went to the same high school, didn't really know each other.
Wow.
But so our parents live a mile from each other in Daytona.
Wow.
So when grad school was a thing and we now have a kid, or grad school's finished, we now have a kid, it made sense to live somewhere near the Grands.
Yeah.
So we would have babysitters and family and all that.
Yeah.
So her choices were Orlando, Jacksonville, Tampa, and that was really it. I loved Orlando. She hates I-4.
Understandably.
And did not want to be in Orlando, even though that's where Tommy was. And I was trying to push and push and push.
Oh, no.
Never mind the German thing that he forgot all about me being a part of. If that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't. But yeah, I wanted to be in Orlando. She didn't. I thought Tampa would have been cool, but she thought that was too far away from family. So Jacksonville won out, and neither of us had ever been.
Wow.
Had ever been.
Risky.
Now the other, yes. Yeah. The other fine print there is my best friend from high school moved. He moved to Pennsylvania. He was also my roommate in college for a little bit. He moved to Pennsylvania, and he moved back from Pennsylvania to Green Cove Springs, which is just south of Jacksonville. And so when we were trying to pick, and oh, by the way, his son is 3 months older than my daughter.
Oh, wow.
So we're like, man, we could move next to them. And the house next to them was up for rent.
Oh, wow.
We could move next to them. They could be lifelong best friends. My best friend's already there. And it's a town that you don't mind living in. Although we had not done any research or homework, whatever. We now know not that we are not Jacksonville people. Or maybe more accurately, we're not Green Cove Springs people, which is another whole thing. But so we moved to Jacksonville. And I worked my first job out of grad school with Gresham Smith and learned an absolute ton. I also learned how to hone my diva-ness because now I'm an architect, right?
Yeah.
Whatever that means. And
whatever that means.
Yeah.
Gresham was not set up the way any other firm I had worked at. Gresham was one team is assigned from the beginning to the end. You work the whole project. And I'm a diva, right? I had never worked on CDs. Not once had I touched CDs. And so when I got hired at Gresham, the way Gresham was organized then, I assume it's different now, but the way it was organized then, there was 4 or 5 designers who designed everything for the whole company. And then the offices just supported whatever that came out of the design work. I was hired to be the 6th designer. So I was working under a guy named Jim Cole, who I learned an incredible amount from. And I was doing that until I got licensed. When I got licensed, and I'll leave it at that. When I got licensed, there's more to that story, but maybe much later. The Gresham wanted me to be more well-rounded as an architect.
Yeah.
So they wanted me to work on CDs. They wanted me to work as a project manager and do a lot of stuff. And I rebelled.
You rebelled.
I rebelled.
He was a diva.
I was a diva.
A real diva.
A real diva. So I was already engaged with AIA Orlando. I learned my networking lesson in DC. It's incredibly important to be networked professionally.
Yeah.
And so when I moved to Jacksonville, I joined the AIA.
Okay.
And I had already started my pathway towards being the president of AIA Jacksonville. But I read something in AIA newsletter about a job opportunity at RSNH. And I was like, I'm going to check that out. I'll show them. I get to RSNH and they interview me and they're like, we're looking for a healthcare architect. That's me. I can do that. And we don't do that here. We're going to start healthcare architecture. Oh, okay. So I'm the guy, right? Now I'm out of school. Gosh. Now I had been practicing. Oh, I totally forgot David Lee.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. Okay.
We can rewind.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Let's rewind. Reminding you all that I was a failed marine biologist, failed surfer, failed jazz saxophonist, looking to what to do in life. My dad said, go be an architect. And because he's a building official, he knows a few architects in Daytona. Mm-hmm. So he connected me with a guy named David Leet, an architect. And I remember like it happened yesterday.
And this was at what point of your
1995?
So
January of 1995.
Undergrad or not yet?
Well, I had finished my AA.
Okay.
But I'm not sure what to do next.
Yeah.
I failed marine biology.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So I started working for David Leet Architects in Daytona Beach. We did all kinds of things, including doctor's offices, but that was it's healthcare light. Right? So we did all kinds of things, and that's when I was like, okay, I can probably do this, right? And so I finished there and then went to Florida. So, okay, fast forward. So I've been practicing architecture in some form since 1995.
Yes.
And in case this is not carbon dated or time stamped, it's 2026.
Yeah.
So it's been 31 years, which hurts to say out loud.
But you're still young.
Yeah, I feel young. Well, let me say it differently. Mentally, I'm young. I think every one of my children would say that. Mentally, I'm young. But physically, I do not feel young. But it's another whole story.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, okay, now we're coming back. So in Jacksonville, I had been practicing for a while. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to be the guy. Like, there's nobody else to ask about healthcare things. I'm the guy. Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Okay. Both feet.
Yeah, both feet.
Both feet. Jump in. So I did, and became the technical expert, the production expert, project manager, all the things I left Gresham for, I became at RSNH, which is the Lord having his laugh, right?
Yeah.
Diva, haha, here's Diva. So you're going to do all the things you didn't want to do. And in truth, and fighting all the people telling me what I should do, it did make me a better designer. Understanding that the stupid things I think up have to stand up. They have to be buildable. They have to be not just buildable, they have to meet code, not just meet code. They have to meet FGI, I'm getting into healthcare, but they need to work with just not what the owner needs or wants, but the requirements of physical reality, right? And so it did, in truth, make me a better architect to go that way and understand those roles. I'm still a diva for sure. Mm-hmm. I still break the rules all the time, but I can defend it, right? And that's what I always told you all. Yeah, you can break the rules if you can defend it, right?
Yeah, I couldn't defend that hole in my D6 project.
Defend a lot.
I mean, you tried. You tried.
The hole.
That was Javi's hole, is the way I understood it.
Yes, it was Javi's hole that we had.
Yeah. It wasn't Olivia.
Well,
it wasn't you.
Explain.
A literal?
It was not a little, a massive
a
hole.
A literal
hole
in the hospital we did. And then we had
the waterfall was?
No,
that was a separate thing.
That's separate.
Javi is also a diva.
Javi is a diva, which is why we got along so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
And we were doing the tangent. We were doing the 50 foam models, remember?
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember.
And in one of them, we're like in Javi's apartment and doing all these things, me, him, and Olivia. And he takes the little thing that you carve foam with, and he just sticks a hole. And he's like, we're doing 50. So most of them are like, type of things. We bring that in, we present our whole 50, and Compton's like, do that.
Yep.
Oh my.
Literally do that, the hole. And literally we have a hole in our project, among other crazy things.
And it kind of worked. Okay. It kind of worked.
Anyways.
It could have been different, but it kind of worked.
Yeah. It's funny.
I lost total track. So no, we're good. So at RSNH, meanwhile, I'm still yearning for teaching and all that.
Yeah.
So I find out that there is this organization. There's no architecture schools. But I'm a weird duck. I'm interior designer licensed. I took those tests, passed those tests.
Yeah. I'm
an architect. Took those tests, passed those tests. I feel like I could do either pretty well. I found a school called the Art Institute, and you've heard of them all over the country. Art Institutes of whatever city they're in. Jacksonville had one. Art Institute in Jacksonville. So I taught there. They didn't last very long. Like there's around the time where the whole, you're going to charge me $70,000, but I'm only going to make 30. thing happened, right?
Yeah.
So they didn't last too long, but FSCJ was there to pick up the pieces, Florida State College of Jacksonville. And so I was teaching interior design at FSCJ. And I did that and for the entire rest of the time. So I've never really stopped teaching, which when you think about that, if you count, well, I count at Florida, my title was visiting lecturer in the interior design department. So that's faculty, that's full-time faculty. I don't count the GTA bits, just the faculty bits.
Yeah.
That was 2005. So from 2005 to now, I've been teaching, which is 21 years. 20 years. That can't be real. That's not real. It can't be real. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm teaching at FSCJ, and I'm doing pretty miraculous, I think, things at RSNH. Like we grew that from
nothing.
Jonathan Cantor and I, and later this lady Erin Burris joined us. So it was really the three of us grew that from nothing, absolute nothing, to when I left, there was over 40 people dedicated to healthcare doing $20 million in work. And so, we built something from nothing. In 6 years, we went from 0 to $1 million. Like it was something to be proud of. But I hated my commute. I lived in I lived in Green Cove Springs. And if you don't know where that is, go south about an hour, 45 minutes from Jacksonville, and then go west about 45 minutes from Jacksonville.
Wow.
That's Green Cove. So I lived in Green Cove Springs, and my best friend lives right next door, but it's taking me an hour and a half to 2 hours to get to work, an hour and a half, 2 hours to get home from work. I'm literally missing my children growing.
Yeah.
And so I said, I've had enough of this place. I want out. We went through that same thing. Okay, well, you chose Jacksonville. Do I get to choose now? And I had convinced my wife that Orlando is where we should be. And I convinced RSNH to take me here. So I moved down to Orlando. We already had a couple people here RSNH already had an office, but they had no one at that time. They had one person or two people doing healthcare.
Oh, okay.
And so my charge was to move down to Orlando and grow the office.
Okay.
Which I did. We went from 2 or 3 to, when I left, 15 between Tampa and Orlando. And same sort of thing. We had a really successful run until COVID. When COVID happened, and this is where I think about it, death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Right. So we had at one point 40, maybe 50 projects going at any given time, but they're all small, like image replacements, or they're all healthcare, like only healthcare, but just tiny little healthcare projects. And when COVID happened, you remember this, all the hospitals stopped doing whatever they were doing, unless it was not practical to do that, right? So the Hunt Brady's of the world, the Greshams of the world, the HOKs of the world, their projects kept going because they were massive.
Big projects.
My projects were easy to stop without losing a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And I'm now the office leader. So I am taking full responsibility for not being able to feed my kids, like my staff, my kids. And I'm like, I got to do something different. Like RSNH needs to do something different. I'm not bringing home the bacon.
Yeah.
So I prayed about it. And my biggest client at that time was Advent Health. And I talked to them and I said, you guys are all architects. What made you switch? This is Muhammad. I can't remember who it was actually. It might have been Brian. He said, well, we have an opening. And I was like, I wasn't really looking for a job. I was looking for, some advice and some someone offers you a sensitive ear, whatever that is. But then I started thinking about, well, this will kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I will have the idea is that you would have a better work-life balance because you're the owner.
Yeah.
And I wanted to spend more time with my kids, and RSNH needed to do something different because I was not being successful. So I left RSNH to go to Advent Health and absolutely loved the people. I loved the work. I missed drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredibly. To my fault and no one else's, I didn't realize how much the diva was unfed.
Yeah.
Right? That's the best way to think about it.
Yeah.
I could not feed the diva. And Brian will tell you, if you talk to him, Brian will tell you, well, I thought teaching was supposed to do that. And I am now teaching you, right?
Yeah.
This is the moment when I'm teaching you guys. And I'm like,
oh, yeah.
I love teaching and I love teaching you guys, but I'm not designing anything. Like I'm shepherding you, but I'm not myself, not designing anything.
Yeah.
And I could not convince Brian or anyone at Advent that that's what I should be doing. So I hadn't really decided to leave, but I knew that I wasn't really happy because I wasn't designing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 80 some odd variations of my own personal house that I may never build because someday
we're going to manifest.
But I would need to design something. And I live through iteration. I can't do one. I do a million of them. And so I have over 80 of them because I needed to design something. I wasn't getting it at work. So Barge called and said, hey, would you start an office? I'm like, man, I've done that. I'm tired. I'm old. So I did that at RSNH and we were successful, but I was much younger then. Yeah. I don't think I could pull that off. Plus, it sounds like you need someone more like a business developer guy. I'd much rather draw, and that's not what you're really talking to me about. So let's, I don't think we're going to make this work. So I turned him down.
Yeah.
And then prayed and prayed. And I'm not a big sign guy. Like I know a lot of faithful people believe in signs. And that's not something, it's not that I don't believe in them. I'm sure they happen for people, but that's never been a part of my faith. Right. Yeah. So I would pray a lot about it and I wasn't getting answered, but I wasn't, say it differently, I wasn't being fulfilled. The diva was not fed. And what I now understand is that was the Lord telling me to do something different. Yeah. So I called them back and I said, look, if I do this, I want to draw. Like it has to be part of my job to draw. I can't come here, leave Advent, which I love. I love the people there. I love the people I work with. I love the work, the mission. It's faith-based healthcare architecture. True. It's everything I want to do. I can't leave that and not draw. That's the whole point. That's the only reason I'm leaving. They're like, okay, fine. You can draw, but your primary responsibility is to win work, but you can draw. Awesome. And that was it. That was literally it. And so I put in my notice, came to Barge, and that's full speed to where we are now. Yeah. I was able to convince somebody else to take a leap of faith.
He's talking about me.
Talking about you.
Alex.
And so we are going to do amazing things.
We are.
I have every belief that we're going to do amazing things. We're starting to turn a corner.
We are, and it's very exciting.
It is very exciting. And I did draw multiple times.
You did draw.
Yeah. So I'm living that life.
Oh, that's great.
The diva is fed.
Diva is fed.
And I'm still teaching.
And this is even better. I was going to ask something about teaching.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Did you what was your introduction into teaching at Valencia / UCF?
Okay.
Exactly.
Brilliant. I totally skipped that.
It's okay.
Sorry. So Tommy at that time, again, Tommy, I consider him to be one of my closest friends.
Yeah. Tommy
is teaching at Valencia. And I find out, and I don't think he was teaching at UCF at that point. It was only Valencia.
Okay.
I found out that he's working with this guy, Alan Waters. I'm like, why is that name so familiar? And I'm like, holy crap, that's Alan. Alan and I went to D3 together. We were in D3 together.
Wow.
As was Baldwin. All three of us were in the same class.
Oh, yeah.
So I messaged Alan. I said, hey, I'm moving to Orlando. I teach all the time. I know Tommy's working with you. I'd love to grab a class or two. Just every so often. It doesn't have to be all the time. It's every so often. And he goes, well, because at that time, Alan was director of both UCF and Valencia. or I guess chair. I don't know which one is which, but he was in charge. And he goes, well, I got this class in UCF. You can teach that. Awesome. I'll take it. So it was ET. That was my first class at UCF was ET. So I had Purcell was my student and in ET, and so many others. He's not the only one, but the Stephen was there. And then a guy named Dan Bennett, who you wouldn't know him, but he's at RSNH in Tampa. Okay. He was a student who I hired at RSNH as an intern and then brought on full time. Wow. So the teacher to employee thing is not new.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not new, but it is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Alan had introduced me to UCF that way, and then probably about a year later, he goes, "I need someone to teach studio." I'm like, "Ooh, diva." Yes. Yes, I can do that. Let's do that. And I want to say my first class was D4.
Really?
I think it was D4. As you all know, D4 is
right before
one of the most traumatic moments of your academic career.
Yeah, it is.
And so I did my very best to do it what I thought was the right way, right? And so then I'm coming back to all the scarring that I received in Gainesville, and I'm like, there's got to be a better way to teach than that. And I had already learned not to teach that way, right? So I think to get to your question, the introduction came through a former classmate, but the evolution of design or teaching philosophy has been a 20-year thing. Yeah, like it didn't happen when I got here.
Right.
It was a result of, some of the evolution that happened in Gainesville, the evolution that happened in Jacksonville, and then ultimately the evolution here is how I approach teaching. It's not what I'm conveying through teaching, but it's how I approach teaching. The conveyance or the ideas that I'm trying to convey is still evolving.
Yeah.
My primary focus now is getting students to understand my motivations for architecture should be their motivations for architecture. And that is designing with empathy for the occupant, not designing objects, but designing spaces. They're not designing for themselves, but they're designing for the 5-year-old me who is stuck in the hospital, couldn't go anywhere, or they're designing for Hondo.
Hondo
was a cancer patient. And this comes back to my need to want to do pediatrics.
Okay.
And my innate ability to do, I think, good cancer care. There was a design competition, I think it was 2014 or something like that. And I'm a big into design competitions. I love the competition nature of it. But also the idea to test theories that your clients might not let you do, right?
Yeah.
So design competitions, I'm a big fan of those. And this one was for pediatric oncology. Now, healthcare is difficult. The patients you meet you are finding people at their absolute worst, either mentally, physically, or both, sometimes spiritually. Now, pediatric healthcare is worse yet again because these are kids. Now, can it get worse? Absolutely. Kids dying of cancer, not surviving, dying of cancer. And so this competition was intended to rethink the way we approach cancer care for pediatrics. And so we did this beautiful presentation. We did this beautiful project. And we presented it at Healthcare Design. So we've been finalists multiple years running for this competition, and we presented Healthcare Design every year. This last one was in San Diego. So 2014 was in San Diego, I think, or DC. Gosh. Anyway, San Diego or DC, one of the two. And this one was for this little boy who didn't survive. And what happened was his mother was a clinician. Imagine going to school to be a doctor your whole life is about helping people. And the one person you want to help the most, you can't. Right? Mm-hmm. That was her. So she became aware of the environment we treat patients in. And she said, and they spent months in the hospital with chemo, with radiation oncology, all the things. And it never darkened his spirits, but the patient is isn't the only person you're designing for. And you're designing for the family, you're designing for the staff, you're designing for the visitors, you should have empathy and design for every occupant, not just the CEO or whatever, right? So Hondo didn't live long enough to see the competition, but his mom did. And so there was 3 of us. There was over 180 submissions. We were finalized out of 180. We were one of 3. And we presented our project, and it was all about giving control to the patient. So with an iPad, Hondo could have chosen the lighting in the room, the smells in the air. Remember the phenomenology, all the sensory experiences, the sights, the sounds, the textures. He could choose everything. But most importantly, and this is my absolute favorite thing, we had, and if you know anything about people who have had cancer, they track their treatments with and with adults, it's, a calendar or whatever. With kids, it's stickers on a calendar or sticker, something that to get them motivated to just one more day. Honestly, just one more day, right? Stay with us just one more day. My idea, our idea as a team, was we would have a mural on the foot wall, and as you complete a day or a session of treatment, you get to color in part of the mural. And the idea is when you finish all of your treatment, the mural will be complete. But we made it so tall that you can't do it alone, meaning the patient has to seek help from family and staff, and everybody contributes in the success or the wins of the cancer care. So we're presenting, and we didn't win per se. We presented, and the finalists, I forgot who it was. It was like Smith Group or Perkins Will or somebody. I forgot who won. But they won after, they presented the check, and it was like $2,000 or something. After they presented the check, Hondo's mom came up to us and said, Hondo would have loved your space. I don't care who you are, that's a win. So when I'm describing designing with empathy, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not designing objects. I don't care about objects. I want Hondo and the 5-year-old me to feel loved, to feel warm, to feel cared for, nurtured, welcomed. And we have that power as architects. We have the power to control that. So that's that story. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry for that.
That was great.
Every darn time.
That's that's crazy. It's beautiful because it's insane to me that a lot of architects, not all of them, but some architects don't almost see it as a business.
100%.
As architects or as designers, these are people. Like, we're not creating these spaces for robots. We're not creating these spaces to hold furniture. We're not creating these spaces to hold animals, plants. Like, these are people every single day that come in and out of these spaces.
Yeah.
That impact them, no matter, maybe as an architect, we didn't design something right. So that annoys them every single time.
Right. So someone said, I once heard said that your choices in design are intentional, and your lack of choice is also intentional, right? And so if you know you are going to affect something, you should make good choices. And how do you know what's the best choice? How do you know what's a good choice? Pray about it. You iterate through it.
Yeah.
You don't design one thing and call it done. You design 50 things. You get lots of inputs. You get lots of people to consider what it is that you've proposed. And then, God willing, you deliver something that makes a positive impact on someone's life. Think about all the reasons we do what we do. There's certainly self-fulfillment, but I was not gifted the ability to save someone's life, right? I don't have that knowledge set. I don't have that acumen, but I can absolutely improve someone's life. And where are they most vulnerable? Healthcare, right? So if we can do something better, and it shouldn't always be about when they're sick. There's also beautiful moments when they're born, right? And I think my wife will absolutely kill me for saying this out loud. But one of my daughters was born during the Georgia-Florida game, a big gator. And the room was organized in such a way that we all could watch the game while she's giving birth.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
Is that what you did?
Oh, 100%. Now I'm one of those active dads. I'm all up in there. I'm holding the legs. I'm cutting the cord. I'm doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we're in there, and she had to go, giving birth here. The nurse and I, the doctor, were all watching the game. And my wife said, hey, I'm having a baby. The architecture matters because it's not just in the worst moments, it's in the best moments.
Yeah.
And you want to be an active participant in the best moments of someone's life, right?
I know you've given us a lot of advice.
Yeah.
You've given us a lot of tips. But what is that one piece of advice that you would give to someone, anyone?
Yeah. So I remember when we talked about this before, I told the advice through a story.
Mm-hmm.
And because I love that story, I want to tell it again.
Okay.
But I've been saying it pretty much the whole time. Just commit.
Yeah.
Jump in, both feet, commit. That philosophy comes from, or at least my understanding of that philosophy comes from Eddie Aikau.
Mm-hmm.
So Eddie Aikau was a Hawaiian waterman, and you would call him a lifeguard, but in Hawaii they're called watermen. And he was a waterman at the most dangerous place in the world for the ocean. It's Waimea Bay in Hawaii, and Oahu. We were just talking about Oahu today.
Mm-hmm.
When the waves are 20, 30 feet tall, surfers go out there and they get in trouble. And this is before the days of jet skis.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie jumps off of his tower, swims out in the middle of all that to rescue someone and bring them back to life. And he did it many, many times over. If he had hesitated, that person's dead, right? Yeah. So you have to commit. And so the same thing with surfing big waves. If you hesitate at the top of a big wave, and if you've never surfed, you may not get this analogy, but if you hesitate, or if you've ever snow skied, right? Have you ever snow skied?
Yeah.
Have you ever done a black diamond where the incline is 60 degrees or something like that?
No.
If you've ever done one of those, you have to commit, because if you hesitate, you will fall, and when you fall, you will hurt. Same thing is true in surfing, especially in a 20-foot wave. I've never surfed a 20-foot wave. I think the biggest I've ever surfed was double overhead, so about 12 feet, which is still really big.
Yeah.
Right. So if you hesitate, you will fall. But if you commit, you may not do something beautiful, but you will learn and feel something you've never felt. Like, it's an absolutely incredible feeling. So that lesson has translated for me, and Eddie's story. Some scientists in Hawaii had found, or I'm supposed to say Hawaii, right? But some scientists in Hawaii found ancient drawings of how they built the canoes to go from island to island, and they rebuilt them in the way the ancient Hawaiians would have. They were getting ready to set sail, and somebody said, "You need somebody to go with you in case you get in trouble." And Eddie volunteered. And so Eddie packs up his longboard, or we used to call them guns. And he packs up his board and gets on the boat, and they start setting off. And sure enough, as soon as you can no longer see land, the boat starts to sink.
So,
And they start to panic. And Eddie, being the waterman that he is, his goal is to save every life there. That's his job. So he says, you all stay with the boat as long as you can. I'm going to take my board. I'm going to paddle to shore. Again, commit. Actually didn't work out. And spoiler alert. But he committed. He committed to saving their lives. And he left. Shortly thereafter, a helicopter came. And you can Google this. They do a better job telling the story than me. But helicopter came, rescued the scientists and all the people on the boat. They never saw Eddie again.
wow.
And for me, what that is about is that level of commitment. He was willing to lose his own life to save someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're not in that world, right? You know, we're firemen or policemen or doctors or whatever. Well, I guess military, right?
Yeah.
We're not probably not going to lose our lives, but we can absolutely save someone, right? With the choices we make. So that's my advice: is whatever you do, in everything you do it in, don't hesitate, just commit, and it'll be worth it.
Amazing. Beautiful.
Very.
So our listeners don't know this, but we are starting something new. A guest has left a question for the next guest. And this is a question that they left you.
Love it.
What do you want to look back on in 20 years and be the most proud of?
Man alive. I'm going to give you two answers.
Okay.
The first answer was, and this is super dumb, but it has already happened. I don't have to go back 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be able to point to something and have my children, with my children, say, your dad did that, right? That's already happened.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have a new thing, right? But that was my goal. My goal was to point to something and said, your dad designed that. And so I took them to one of my few non-healthcare projects in Daytona, Embry-Riddle, Jim W. Henderson Welcome Center. We walked through it. They got to see it. And then and like a total nerd, I'm like, well, this is why I did that. And this is why I did this. And of course, they're like, they have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They're just like, whatever, Dad. Right. So that was the thing. And that's, maybe that's cliche, but now looking back 20 years, something that I would like to understand, and I'm praying for, is that something that we have thought of has fundamentally changed the way people perceive healthcare.
Mm.
I am completely in belief that architecture is way more involved in the healing process than people think it is. There's a lot of evidence to support this. There's not enough evidence to support this. So being consumers of that evidence and then deploying that evidence or deploying that research into new ways of thinking, new styles of architecture, new levels of healthcare that couldn't have been achieved before. That's my prayer. My prayer is that in 20 years, Alex and I will have developed something that has changed the way we deliver healthcare and architecture. That's my prayer.
Well, thank you so much,
Most welcome.
Compton. You've been amazing.
This
You
was
made us
great.
laugh,
Cry.
That wasn't the goal. It always happens. It's not the goal.
It's okay.
but no, it was great.
Yeah.
Great talking to you.
Likewise. Thank you all for having me.